What's up everybody, I am the Hunter Fisher. And today I'm gonna throw together a little video for you guys. I'm gonna try to do some fishing. If that doesn't work out today, because there's conditions that I might get poured on, I'm actually gonna go grab 5 of my favorite summer baits. I'm gonna show you guys what I use to catch more fish bank fishing during the summer. So I hope you guys are willing to stay tuned for that part of the video. Yeah. Bunch. Oh no, that was a bite for sure. Oh, there's no way. All right guys, looks like it's about to start pouring. I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna go run by Walmart real quick for something, and then I'll see you guys back here in just a second, show you guys my favorite 5 baits for the summertime fishing. What's up guys, the Hunter Fisher back here again. Now I just got back from Walmart. I grabbed a tripod for my phone and I'm about to show you guys what my top 5 summer bass fishing baits will be this summer. Really looking for a really good summer bass. I have a few baits here that I'm gonna show you guys, and I'm gonna be mainly using these 5 baits for most of my really hardcore fishing this summer. Now I'm gonna be doing some challenges here and there, so definitely sticking around for that. Now the first bait I'm probably gonna choose is probably be my salty super fluke. Now salty super fluke you can throw a couple different ways. You can throw it in a drop shot. You can even throw it in a weightless Texas rig. Now, weightless Texas rig is probably how most people are gonna throw it. Sometimes a weighted hook is even good. So a weighted hook might make a difference, as in it goes down faster if you're fishing deeper water. That's actually how I caught a nice bass a couple weeks ago, was throwing a weighted super fluke. Now with this specific super fluke that I got right here is called Bait Fish. Looks a lot like smoking shad, except smoking shad has a lot less sparkly flake in here. The amount of flakes that are in this certain color is actually more than usual. So there's so many different colors in here. Hopefully you guys can see this in the camera. I got like blue, green, red, purple, all these different colors in there. And it's a little bit more flaky. It's kind of a color that really might get a couple more bites from me. I don't really see people normally throw this color, so that's the reason why I'm actually so interested in the color. Tried it out one summer and did phenomenally with it. So it's actually caught a buddy 2 PBs, so it must work somehow. All right, now for my second bait that I'm using this summer, it's mainly gonna be a Texas rig. So a Texas rig, even though I just literally said a weightless Texas rig with the fluke, I'm actually be throwing right there. That is the Texas we're gonna be throwing. Oh, I meant to tell you guys about what rod I would use for a weightless fluke. So for my weightless fluke, I'm gonna be throwing mainly either a spinning combo or a medium action rod. So I use mainly like the same rod I would use for cranking for those weightless flukes, because it gets a little bit of a flex in there and I can hook set just a tad better with whenever I'm using a weightless setup. And with this rod, I'm using actually a medium heavy action rod. So this is a 7-foot medium heavy action rod. It's the Bionic Blade from Bass Pro Shops. Now on the weightless fluke, I'd be throwing 12-pound fluoro, just because I don't want to go too heavy of a line. Plus I always have a bad problem whenever I'm going with thin braid, is I always break off on thin braid. Thin braid has kind of been inconsistent for me, and I'm moving away from it permanently, probably, especially for Texas rigs. So for Texas rigs, I'm throwing a 15-pound fluoro. Sometimes it might go up to 17 if I'm fishing a little bit heavier cover. The thing is with a little bit heavier line is you're not going to be able to cast as far, especially with fluoro. But fluoro, I've actually been able to cast so much further than I have with 30-pound braid, and it's been so much more consistent, so much more tough. It doesn't break as easily. It feels like I was losing more fish than I was on fluoro most of the time with 30-pound braid, and I've honestly just loved it. So for the Texas rig, I'm gonna be throwing a couple different baits. I'm gonna be throwing either one of 2 things. I'm gonna be throwing a speed worm or a stick bait. So speed worm I'll be throwing is this one right here. This color is actually, I've been pretty good recently. We tried this in a video whenever I was with Norm one time, and this color killed it. It was in clear water, and I killed it with dark water too whenever I was using this color. So that's the speed worms. The speed worms are really nice because they have a kicking action to them. So if you're really not getting any bites in something slower, you throw on a speed worm, you hop it off the bottom, and boom, typically you get your bite over some structure or something like that. So another bait I'll be throwing is the Guggenbait's Lunker Log. This is a 6-inch version. I like to get the 6-inch version mainly because I can bite it down and it's a little bit thicker. That heavy profile sometimes get me some bigger bass. And it also gives me an extra casting distance whenever I'm casting it, so I can get out deeper, because those summer bass, they're either one of 2 places. They're either shallow or they're deep. So I actually, whenever I did catch a bass in that last video, it was actually shallow. We tried fishing deep, didn't get any results that way. So sometimes they might be more shallow than you would always think they'd be deep, especially on the bank. Whenever you're fishing a pond or something like that, those bass are most likely to be on the cooler side of the lake or a pond, whatever it's going to be. and typically they can be shallow or deep. It really won't make a difference to them because they're bass. They don't read textbooks, you know? Don't be afraid to throw shallow. Don't be afraid to throw deep. It's not going to make a difference either way, especially if you're at a pond. If you're in a lake, that's a little bit different story, but if you're in a pond, don't be afraid to throw. So for my third bait, I'm actually be throwing a square bill crankbait. With square bill crankbait, I actually haven't been throwing it as much recently the past couple of years. I just kind of lost faith in it. I don't really know why. It used to be one of my go-to baits for search baits in the pond. Mainly a chartreuse blackback square bill was typically my favorite bait to throw. This right here is the Guggen Squad Catch Company Sexy Sad flat banger. I don't know if there's bigger size of these, but this is a 3 to 6 foot flat banger that dives about 3 to 6 foot, which is typically almost all the depth of most of your local ponds and banks. The thing is with a square bill is you can hit it off structure, get that reaction bite sometimes, and sometimes depending on the color, you can always kill it in a lake. I have had days in the summer where I've thrown a chartreuse blackback KVD 1.5 and just caught so many bass, and it's so good. I wish I could go back to those days because for some reason I can't get on a crankbait bite. I can't get on one to save my life. I'm not really sure what it is, but I'm going to be focusing it harder this summer just because I want to get better at it. So for my fourth bait I'm going to be throwing a top water popper. Now this popper specifically is called the Bass Pro Shop Senior Pop. Essentially it's like about a 2.5 inch popper. It's a little bit heavier than a normal popper. It's a little bit bigger than a normal popper. But what I like this one for is the fact that I can walk this. So in the later summer, you have bass schooling up on shad, possibly more of those baits getting ready to transition into the fall when those bass are feeding up for the winter. And I can walk this one perfectly, just like a regular spook. So that's what's nice about this one. And that's actually typically when I've gotten my bites with poppers, is when I'm working it faster. So with poppers, in the morning, especially if you do work it slow though, you can get some big bass to bite, especially in the mornings, because if you go out early and throw this in those shade pockets or those covered areas, make sure not to get put in a tree, you can actually get some giant bass on your poppers that way. So popper is probably one of my favorite lures just because it was probably the first topwater bait that I ever threw, and it was just phenomenal. It always had results. So for my fifth bait that I'm gonna be throwing is gonna be a popping frog. So I'm gonna be throwing a little bit of walking frogs too, but popping frogs I've always stuck with just because I can walk them all the same as a walking frog. A lot of people will probably disagree with me because certain popping frogs cannot walk whatsoever. This one kind of has a tough time doing it, but this popping frog, especially in those pads, can get some giant bites. Now, one thing I've learned about frogs in general is don't be particular about when you throw them, because I've noticed that people only want to throw them in the morning and in the afternoon, almost nighttime. I've seen more than enough people to believe that you can throw a frog in the middle of the day. I was actually at a lake the other day and I saw a guy catch 2 bass on a topwater frog, and those were the only 2 bass he said he's caught all day, and it was in the middle of the day. It was probably like 1:30 in the afternoon, and he caught them on a topwater frog. And typically people don't do that because they think it's too hot. They think the bass aren't going to want to do that. And sometimes if bass are in those pads or something like that and they're going for that shade cover, if they see a frog coming over, they don't care what time of day it is for them to bite. So that's one thing about a topwater frog is don't worry about the time. Fish don't read textbooks. Fish never read textbooks. Don't be worried about color. Don't be worried about anything, especially with a frog, because on a frog, the color you're worried about is this color right here. A fish don't see that. Fish sees that. So whenever you're worried about it, typically I stick to white bottoms just from experience, just from better luck. Some people like black bottoms, especially in clear water. Like I said, the color won't make a huge difference unless you're really particular about it and you have a lucky color. To each their own. A frog is going to be a great bait this summer, especially if you can find some really vegetated areas and get some big bass to bite. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Now, if you guys enjoyed that, or if you actually want to tell me what your favorite summer baits are, leave a comment down below. Make sure you leave a like, because I'm going to be getting out more content this summer to you guys. I'm going to be hopefully getting some challenge content out there, find some really good lakes to go test out some really good stuff. Now, the challenge video I'm wanting to do next is probably a Bass Pro Shops fishing kit challenge, just because I work there, and if I can find a good fishing kit that you guys might be interested in, why not go for a challenge on it? So if you guys are excited for that or want to see that, drop a subscribe and then drop a like on this video if you want to see that. And without further ado, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.